Tennessee Titans in the AFC South. A lot of people have this team potentially to win the division. Could be a toss-up with the Colts. We're not sure yet. But fees for 2021 of this NFL season, Tennessee Titans. Give me your expectations. Give me your reality. What's going to happen with this team this year?
Tennessee Titans finished last season 11-5. The expectations are through the roof for them. I mean, the year before last, they made it to the AFC Championship game. Last year, they won a division, lost in the playoffs early. I think their expectations are going to look something like 13-4. They're really looking to have an unstoppable offense with Julio, newly acquired, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry. They're going to be thinking Ryan Tannehill should be an MVP candidate this season. And, I mean, I think their expectations offensively are all the way on point. The reality, their defense is still weak. You lost both your starting corners in Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson. Bud Dupree is not a fail stop to fix the entire defense. And I think they'll lose quite a few shootouts this season. So I think the 13-4 is lofty for the mere fact that they just don't have a defense that can hold down a lot of the teams on the schedule, because they do have a very tough schedule. They got to play the NFC West, which is the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. I think against this division, it'll be a tough 2-2 for them. I mean, that could go any way you want to flip it. Against the AFC East, they play this year, New England, Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets. I mean, I can see them going 2-2 in this division as well, depending on what New England's offense actually has to offer and when it is exactly that they play them. I think Buffalo will score just a little bit too much for them to stop, because that defense actually has regressed since last season. I think they can definitely take out the Dolphins and the Jets, but I got them 2-2 over there. They're 3 games based off of them winning the division. I see them. They got to play Pitt, Kansas City, and New Orleans. I got them 2-1 in those 3 games, because I think they will beat the Saints that we just are like an X factor. Pittsburgh and Kansas City, think we'll both take them out. And in their division, that's where most of the wins come from. 5-1 in the division. They split with Indy, they sweep Jacksonville, and sweep Houston. So they'll ultimately finish at 11-6, which I think will win the division in this 17-game season. But it looks like we got my man Mike Preston in the house zooming in with us tonight.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Every time I walk into your city, zoom.
What's going on, Mike? Thank you for joining Petty Sports tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be here.
Okay, so yeah, man, for the listeners, for all the Petty Nation, man, this is our main man, Mike Preston. He came in to join us to chop it up about the AFC South. We can't talk about the Tennessee Titans without having a former Tennessee Titan wide receiver on deck. So, man, I just got through running down what my expectations versus reality are for the Titans.
Oh, 13-4. You got them going 11-5 again, 11-6?
11-6, yeah. You know we got the extra game.
Okay. Yeah, 11-4, 11-6 sound about right, bro. Just because people forget about that gelling process. I know they think, you know what I'm talking about. Teammates still have to gel and come together and play a full season, injuries.
Oh, yeah.
I like them making the playoffs. They're a contender, for real.
Oh, yeah. I think 11-6 wins the division, so they're hosting a playoff game.
Yeah. That'll put them in a great spot.
Absolutely.
Crazy if Tennessee brought one home.
I wouldn't call that. Like, it would be like you telling me at the beginning of the season that the Phoenix Suns were going to win a championship.
Right.
Like, nah, like they good, but nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, never that. I would have never imagined that.
Man, so Tennessee is definitely going to be an interesting team this year. So I think they expect to be about a 10-7 team, win the division, like you said, and they'll probably make the playoffs. But, like Mike just said, they have to gel. They have to come together with Julio Jones, being able to complement A.J. Brown, being able to make sure that Derrick Henry's still going to get his carries, because I think one thing that they really expect is Derrick Henry to continue to tear the league up. Probably not a 2,000-yard rusher, but I know they're probably expecting a 1,800-yard season. Like, he's going to be flirting with it like he has been the past few years, and like he eventually made it happen. Then I think they also expect Julio Jones to at least be a 1,000-yard receiver, be somewhat consistent, not have the so-called injury bug that came over his career, and be able to be that number 2 option to A.J. Brown as well. And then number 3 is their defensive draft picks to really help them get back to that defensive team that they were back in 2018, 8th in total defense and 3rd in points per game, crazy turnover differential. And they led the league last year. They were plus 11 in the turnover differential for the NFL. But then you go to the reality. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be a 2,000-yard rusher. I expect, kind of like the fans do, to be a 16 to 1,800-yard guy. He'll probably have double-digit touchdowns within the coming season. But when we're talking about Julio Jones, I feel like Julio is primed for an amazing season. We see this all the time where players leave. They have a storyline to where, okay, are they truly a player that has put forth their time in the NFL to be considered an all-timer? Do we have our respect for him? And I think Julio's finally tired of hearing that. He started speaking out. We heard he wanted to be traded, and when this whole, the Falcons are taking calls on Julio Jones. No. They had been taking calls on Julio. It's now just reported and confirmed that Julio's on the trading block. And then you take a look at the defense. I think they're going to move back to the middle of the pack, but they're still kind of struggling for a pass rush. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney. Nothing happened with him. And then they're just still trying to find that guy who can consistently rush the opposing team's quarterback, get pressure on him, and not make it to where you're giving up potentially 25, 28 points a game, because that was, kind of the downfall for this Titans team. Mike, do you think that's kind of, reasonable, 10-7, kind of like I was with Fees? But, what do you expect, I guess, out of Julio coming in for this team?
10-7, I'm not taking that. I expect 11-6. You know what I'm saying? They got the squad to do that. Julio, I think it's a quick jail with him. I think he runs a certain style of routes in Atlanta that I can remember, like 20-yard stops, everything vertical, crossers, things like that.
Correct.
And I think all that can do is compliment AJ if they want to keep it. If AJ is that number, is he truly that number one? I haven't seen enough football. Right. Is AJ truly that number one that can carry a whole team?
Mm-hmm.
He really doesn't have to be with Julio and Derrick Henry out there like that, though.
Right. I kind of want to go out on a leg. I think Julio gels, like Mike says. I think he potentially leaps to be that wide receiver one. He's Julio Jones. Like, are you really just going to,
AJ may have a breakout season because of Julio.
Right, you're correct. But also you could wonder, because AJ knows he's this guy, like he understands that he's that receiver, and like he has that mentality. I don't want there to be any problems in that receiving core. Like, what if AJ starts to feel a little jealous with, oh, wow, we brought in this guy who, we don't know if he's going to be a true number two. I mean, we'll see.
I think he's like idolizes Julio. He's going to give him a number.
Him.
Like, that's why he wears number 11,
right? Because
he loves Julio.
Correct.
So I don't see the jealousy angle happening.
I don't know, man, because AJ really knows he considers himself potentially the best from that class. I mean, we've heard him talk about it. He speaks very highly of himself. And I know he respects Julio, but it's never truly there until it's in the reality with you. I'm just saying.
I don't see Tennessee having any problems on offense, but what I will tell you is where I place Tennessee very harshly. They're the AFC version of the Dallas Cowboys.
Ouch.
Elite offense, can't stop nobody.
Oh, my God. Sheesh, man.
They're a little bit better put together than Dallas, but still, roster-wise, they're the AFC version.
Yep.